Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his two-nation tour, arrives in New Delhi. PM terms the visit an opportunity to take time-tested friendship to the next level. US President Joe Biden continues to face fresh doubts over his re-election chances. Nancy Pelosi, George Clooney and two Senate Democrats join the ever-stretching list asking Biden to withdraw. Ukraine conflict continues to dominate NATO summit. Nations issue joint declaration in Washington outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to host his counterparts for BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Retreat in New Delhi. Opportunity to discuss avenues to broaden and deepen cooperation in various sectors. And in Euro 2024, English team's dream run continues. Substitute Oli Watkins, late winner, downs Dutch in semis to set a final clash against Spain. Fans head to Berlin for the grand finale on Sunday. I will start with the top story. Wrapping up his visit to Russia and Austria, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in New Delhi. Ahead of his departure for New Delhi from Vienna, Prime Minister interacted with members of Indian community. In his speech, PM Modi highlighted India's growth story. Prime Minister said that India is world's fifth largest economy now. And during his visit to Austria, Prime Minister also held talks with Austria's Chancellor Karl Nehammer. PM also met President Alexander von der Bellen. So this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting the Indian community. He was in Austria yesterday, and before that he was in Russia for 2 days. In Russia, Prime Minister attended 22nd Annual Summit in Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin conferred Russia's highest national award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his contribution to fostering India-Russia ties. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also highlighted India's achievements in various fields, including space exploration, digital transactions, startup ecosystem, and also infrastructure development. During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Russia, New Delhi and Moscow also signed 9 MOUs and agreements in several sectors, including trade, climate and research. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended 22nd Annual Summit in Moscow, and he also interacted with the Indian community in Austria, and before that in Russia also. And we showed you the visuals where Russian President Vladimir Putin conferred Russia's highest national award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will host his counterparts from BIMSTEC countries for the second Foreign Ministers Retreat in New Delhi on 11th and 12th July. Discussions will be held to broaden and deepen cooperation across various sectors, including in the fields of security, connectivity, trade and investment, and people-to-people contacts in the Bay of Bengal region. The first edition of the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Retreat was held at Bangkok in Thailand on 17th July 2023. BIMSTEC has 7 members: India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Thailand. And Bhutan's Foreign Minister D.N. Dhungyal and Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Myanmar U Than Sway arrived in New Delhi on Wednesday. All right, moving on to our next story. Now, Indian Navy's frontline frigate INS Tabar departed from Casablanca port in Morocco on Wednesday after concluding its 3-day visit. India and Morocco share warm bilateral relations that span diverse fields, including regular interactions between the two navies. The visit by INS Tabar further aims to strengthen these bonds and also explore newer avenues of bolstering the relationship between the two navies. During the stay at the port, the ship's crew undertook a number of professional interactions with the Royal Moroccan Navy. And India's Jammu and Kashmir police denied reports claiming a terror attack on a security post in the higher reaches of Udhampur district on Wednesday. The police further added that a sentry on guard duty opened fire as a precautionary measure on observing some suspicious movement. A search of the area was later conducted, but nothing was found. All right, we'll go across to Jammu now. DD India's Vivek Pathak is joining us live to tell us more on this. Vivek, J&K police denies reports of terror attack in Udhampur, but massive search operation continues. What is the latest that you can tell us?
Well, yesterday at around 8 p.m., some gunshots were heard in J&K's Basantgarh area, which is in Udhampur district. So after that, the news spread like a fire that terrorist attack happened in Basantgarh. But later on, at around midnight, the police denied reports of the terrorist attack and said that it was a sentry which was on duty and fired on noticing some suspicious movement. But the fact on the ground is that a huge search operation is going on in Udhampur district in the Basantgarh area. And at the same time, additional security troops and forces are also deployed there. So an official press statement is still to be released by the J&K police. And but this, the fact that sentry fired at around 8 p.m. This was stated verbally by one of the police officers, but an official written press statement or a press conference is yet to be done by the police department.
All right, Vivek, you're saying the search operation has been going on in Udhampur and some people have also been detained there and they are being questioned?
Not in Udhampur, but yes, a day before a terrorist attack happened in Kathua district of J&K in which 5 soldiers were martyred. In that connection, 24 people have been detained and the questioning is still going on. So basically, if we connect Kathua and Udhampur, these two attacks that we are talking about, so basically, topographically, Kathua district is connected with Udhampur district. And the Basantgarh area which we are talking about, it connects to the place, the Mashedi area in Kathua district. Mashedi is that place where the terrorist attacked the soldiers' vehicle day before yesterday. So the road connectivity is there between the two areas. Therefore, there were apprehensions that the terrorists which fled from Kathua, it might be a possibility that they were there in the Basantgarh area of Udhampur district. So 24 people have been detained in Kathua district in connection with that, and the questioning is still going on.
All right, so you're saying that the questioning is still going on and there was a terrorist attack in Kathua district also. So the people who have been detained, they are being questioned and they'll get to know something, some tip-off they'll get?
Yes, definitely. Police, J&K Police, Special Operations Group, Indian Army, and even the NIA went on the spot. And the questioning is going on at full pace, and hopefully something will come up soon, and the perpetrators of the attack will be taken into they'll be taken into consideration.
All right, Vivek, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Jammu.
Thank you.
Moving further, today we mark a significant day on the global calendar, World Population Day. This day, observed every year on July 11th, draws attention to the urgency and importance of population issues. As the world crosses the 8 billion people mark, let us take a look at this report by Dibyendu Mandal to understand the challenges and opportunities of population growth.
July 11th marks the United Nations World Population Day, a global observance aimed at raising awareness about population issues and their impact on development. Established by the United Nations in 1989, this day serves as a reminder of the challenges and opportunities posed by a growing world population. To mark the occasion, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, and I quote, "As the theme of this year's World Population Day reminds us, investing in data collection is important to understand problems, tailoring solutions and driving progress. So is finance. I urge countries to make the most of the Summit of the Future this year and unleash affordable capital for sustainable development." The world population has been witnessing unprecedented growth. From 1 billion in the early 1800s, we are now at 8 billion. And by 2030, the world population is projected to reach 8.5 billion. Historically, it took centuries to reach the billion mark. But since 2011, the world population added 1 billion population in less than 1.5 decades. Changes in the fertility rates have played a crucial role. Life expectancy has also risen dramatically. This rapid growth brings both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, a large population can drive economic growth, innovation, and cultural exchange. On the other hand, it places significant pressure on resources, infrastructure, and the environment. Urbanization and migration are reshaping our world. In 2007, for the first time, more people lived in cities than rural areas, and by 2050, cities are expected to host 66% of the global population. These mega trends have far-reaching implications. World Population Day is not just about numbers, it is about the lives behind those numbers. Dibyendu Mandal's report for DD India.
All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Moody's keeps India's 2024 economic growth forecast unchanged at 6.8%. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Rating agency Moody's has kept India's economic growth forecast for 2024 unchanged at 6.8% while predicting a 6.5% growth for 2025. It said that increasing domestic and overseas demand supports GDP growth in emerging markets with wide variation by country. In its global macro outlook 2024-25 published in March, Moody's raised its forecast for India's GDP growth in 2024 from 6.1% to 6.8%, reflecting both global and domestic optimism in the country's economy on the back of robust manufacturing activity and infrastructure spending. India's Supreme Court will resume hearing on Thursday of alleged irregularities in NEET UG 2024 and the demand for a retest. Whereas the centre on Wednesday filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court denying any mass malpractice in NEET undergraduate exam. The centre, citing the data analytics done by the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, said there was neither any indication of mass malpractice nor a localized set of candidates being benefited, leading to abnormal scores. The government further said that the counselling will be conducted in 4 rounds starting from the 3rd week of July. All right, weather updates now. The India Met Department has issued a warning for heavy to very heavy rainfall in isolated areas across various districts in the Gujarat region. Additionally, the Met forecast light to moderate rainfall at isolated locations along with thunderstorms and lightning in Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya. Mumbai and several regions across Maharashtra experienced heavy rainfall from the past few days. The IMD has predicted heavy rain in isolated areas of Mumbai until July 12th. The flood situation in Assam has shown significant improvement as population affected comes down to 14.3 lakh. 5 persons lost their lives on Wednesday, taking the death toll up to 84 this year. Brahmaputra in some major areas and 3 other rivers, Burhi, Dihing, Disang, Kushiara, are flowing above danger mark. More than 2,500 villages under 86 revenue circles in 27 districts are reeling under the deluge. Dhubri district alone has 2.3 lakh affected people, highest amongst all other districts. More than 45,000 inmates are taking shelter in 365 relief camps across the state. Over 6.3 lakh big animals and 3.7 lakh small animals were affected due to floods. Some of the major affected districts are Kachar, Barpeta, Darang, Golaghat and South Shalmara. All right, we'll go across to Dibrugarh now. DD India's Subina Roy is joining us to get us the latest from there. Subina, tell us the current situation. Northeast continues to be on high alert, but the situation has improved.
Yeah, good morning, Abhishek. Here the weather is again it is likely that rains are going to occur, as also the IMD has issued orange alert for Assam and Meghalaya today. So it remains to be seen again in the coming days what kind of weather conditions prevail. But as per the latest bulletin report, Abhishek, the rains had reduced in the past few days. So that's why the population affected has reduced from, it was around 23 lakhs some days before, and now it has reduced to, it has come down to 14 lakhs. And the population affected are in the districts, it's in 27 districts, and the villages, around 2,500 villages are affected in 86 revenue circles. And the districts which are mostly affected is Dhubri, where still 2.3 lakh people are affected, Abhishek. But the good news is that earlier it was 7 lakhs in Dhubri which were affected, the population. But now it has come down to 2.3 lakh. Now, the other districts which remain affected are Kachar, Borpeta, Darang, Golaghat, South Salmara. Now, talking about the rescue and relief operations, SDRF, NDRF, and the local authorities, government authorities are working round the clock to provide help and support to the flood-affected victims. So, as per the latest bulletin, around 45,000 inmates are living in relief camps. That is, yesterday, 365 relief camps were set up, where just if we talk about the relief camps, it was about 200 relief camps were set up. Relief camps are camps where people stay when their houses are inundated with floods. Then we had 156 relief distribution centers, Abhishek, where these centers provide food items, medical relief to flood-affected victims. Now, talking about the other rescue operations, medical teams are also deployed in each and every district wherever it is required. Yesterday, around 128 medical teams were deployed, and boats which were deployed were 53 boats were deployed. where animals yesterday which were rescued, where 147 animals were rescued, Abhishek. Now, since the rains had increased a bit yesterday, there was rainfall. So the Brahmaputra level at Dibrugarh had increased to 105.21 meters, which is still below the danger level. The danger level is 105.70 meter, Abhishek.
All right, Subina, what is the forecast? You're saying orange alert has been issued for the next few days, but till when the current situation is likely to persist?
Abhishek, the IMD has the IMD issues red alert and orange red alert, the alert for like few days. However, the situation, as per the situation arrives, the report keeps changing. So as per the IMD report says that next few days are likely to see few rains, and Assam is a flood prone area, and the rainfall pattern is such that it is of consistent rains, like few little rains occur each and every day.
All right, Subina, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Dibrugarh. Moving on to our next story now. Monsoon thunderstorms on Tuesday triggered a torrent of flooding in the streets of Veracruz in eastern Mexico. The flooded streets of Veracruz became makeshift playgrounds for residents who plunged into the flood waters on Tuesday. People were seen diving into flooded streets as homes and cars were submerged in water. According to local reports, heavy rains from an intertropical wave hit the coastal region hard on Tuesday, quickly flooding the streets of Veracruz. The official said more than 70 mm of water fell in 2 hours during a typical and unexpected rainfall. Now, Chileans suffered with the low temperatures due to a polar wave in the South American nation on Wednesday. Chilean homeless individuals and people working outdoors in Santiago were the most affected by weather. They gathered around a bonfire, drinking coffee to combat the chill. Some slept on the streets wrapped in blankets. Chile's government said it would bolster programs aimed at protecting people living on the streets during this hazardous season. As per the Chile's Met Service, the country is undergoing a cold wave with the lowest recorded temperature in Santiago over the past few days. Meanwhile, the polar wave frosted the sun on a beach in central Chile. The Chilean Met Service issued frost and wind warnings as a cold snap is hitting different regions across the country. Local media reported temperatures of minus 6.4 degrees Celsius in Mall. And now, two opposing factions of Bolivia's ruling party MAS clashed with violence on Wednesday. The fight took place due to the internal divisions between supporters of incumbent Bolivian President Luis Arce and former President Evo Morales as they seek to lead the race in the 2025 elections. The confronting sides clashed in La Paz when representatives of political parties, including Evo Morales and social organizations, were called to set the basis of the process leading to the upcoming presidential election. Tensions have been building in Bolivia ahead of general elections in 2025, with Morales planning to run against former ally Arce, creating a major rift in the ruling Socialist Party and wider political uncertainty. Now, American actor Alec Baldwin was accused by a New Mexico prosecutor on Wednesday of breaking cardinal rules for handling guns in 2021 killing of Rust cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. While defending Baldwin, his lawyer said Baldwin was failed by the movie set safety experts who already have been convicted in the case. The 66-year-old Baldwin, on trial in Hollywood's first on-set shooting fatality in 3 decades, took notes at the defense table and listened calmly in his involuntary manslaughter trial. The prosecution is largely unprecedented in U.S. history, holding an actor criminally responsible for a gun death during filming.
The trial is set to last a fortnight. At the end of it, the jury will have to decide.
Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Estonia's Jean Roos has made history as the first person to cross Italy's Strait of Messina on foot. Roos completed a breathtaking 3.6-kilometer journey along a stack line in nearly 3 hours on Wednesday. Roos started from a 265-meter higher tower on Santa Trada before going on to walk a distance surpassing the previous world record of 2,710 meters. Now, a towering Stegosaurus dinosaur fossil will go under the hammer at Sotheby's in New York on Wednesday. The auction represents a significant milestone as it marks the first time an auction house has been involved in bringing a dinosaur specimen to market right from its discovery. All right, time now for another short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Gaza ceasefire talks continues in Doha on Tuesday. And Taiwan reports surge in Chinese Air Force activity, detects 66 Chinese military aircraft. And we'll show you a stunning encounter in the Atlantic Ocean where a rower got up close with a large pod of whales.
India keeps getting hotter and hotter, people will be looking for innovations to help combat the impacts of climate change and to cut the emissions that are causing it.
Zero tillage wheat, it builds soil carbon. It removes carbon dioxide from the air and builds soil carbon. It's like planting a tree underground.
What's happening here is preservation through conversion and transformation. I think you can see that very well here. You can take good experiences from it, and those are transferable.
Perovskite over silicon as material is the ease of processing. Silicon is something that is relatively energy intensive to fabricate, but this is something that can be done at close to room temperatures.
Always welcoming. The vibe of Punjab is larger than life. Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare. And history that's dotted with tales of bravery. Smiling soul of India, where music, art, cuisine and culture comes together to create an unforgettable impression. Punjab is all set to win your hearts with its unique and colorful extravaganza.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his two-nation tour, arrives in New Delhi. PM terms the visit an opportunity to take time-tested friendship to next level. US President Joe Biden continues to face fresh doubts over his re-election chances. Nancy Pelosi, George Clooney and 2 Senate Democrats join the ever-stretching list asking Biden to withdraw. Ukraine conflict continues to dominate NATO summit. Nations issue joint declaration in Washington outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to host his counterparts for BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Retreat in New Delhi. Opportunity to discuss avenues to broaden and deepen cooperation in various sectors. And in Euro 2024, English team's dream run continues. Substitute Ollie Watkins, late winner, downs Dutch in semis to set a fun clash against Spain. Fans head to Berlin for the grand finale on Sunday. Now, pressure is growing non-stop on US President Joe Biden to end his re-election bid. Latest to join the ever-growing list are party heavyweights Nancy Pelosi and George Clooney and 2 senators. All of this are the after effects of halting debate performance against Republican rival Donald Trump. US President Joe Biden has been busy meeting NATO leaders and rallying them to announce continuous support for Ukraine, but in-house support seems to be weaning away as he faces relentless pressure to withdraw from the presidential race. Though still there are some lawmakers have steadfastly backed the incumbent's plans, but many have expressed unease with his continued candidacy. In her latest comments, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Biden must decide quickly whether to stay in the 2024 White House race. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has privately signaled to donors he is open to a Democratic candidate other than Biden. Senator from Vermont Peter Welch called on President Biden to withdraw from the race in an opinion piece in an English daily. He is the first Democratic US Senator to call on Biden to step aside as candidate. And the list is getting longer. Representative Pat Ryan, who flipped a Republican-held New York district in 2019, said Joe Biden is a patriot but is no longer the best candidate to defeat Trump. And Representatives Mickey Sherrill, Adam Smith, Raul Grijalva, Seth Moulton, Mike Quigley and Angie Craig also voiced same concerns regarding Biden. Lloyd Doggett was the first congressional Democrat to call for Biden to step down. And Hollywood star George Clooney withdrew his support with an opinion piece in the New York Times saying Biden was not the same man he was in 2020. He co-hosted a star-studded fundraiser for Biden last month. And for nearly 2 weeks, the 81-year-old Biden has sought to stem dissidents by Democratic lawmakers. Donors and other allies worried he might lose the November 5 vote and vowed to stay in the race. Some Senate Democrats are expected to express their reservations in a meeting with Biden on Thursday. Meanwhile, Biden returned to the campaign trail on Wednesday, rallying the key constituency of Labour leaders. Biden spoke to supporters from the AFL-CIO's Executive Council meeting. Labour votes were key to Biden's win over Trump in competitive states, including Michigan, Pennsylvania and Nevada in 2020. Now, Gaza ceasefire talks continued in Doha on Tuesday with Egyptian, US and Israeli officials in attendance. But Hamas warned this week that a fresh Israeli assault in Gaza could jeopardize the negotiations. DD India's William Denslow reports from Baghdad.
Heading into these talks in Doha, there was an increased sense of optimism, largely after Hamas officials in recent days stated that they'd be willing to drop a previous key demand for them, that Israel accept a permanent ceasefire as part of these talks. We've also heard recently from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to a US envoy saying that Israel would be committed to securing a ceasefire if its red lines were accepted. Those include ensuring that no Hamas fighters in the south of the Gaza Strip make their way further north, also to do more to clamp down, as they see it, of the arms transfer through the Egyptian border crossing into the Palestinian enclave. Another key issue for Israel heading into these talks, Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Israel wants the ability to resume fighting in order to meet its goals set out. However, there is a sense of concern as well, especially after Israel began its fresh assault around Gaza City, with Hamas saying that renewed fighting in that area risked totally derailing these ceasefire negotiations and risked taking them back all the way to square one. Mass attack on Israel on October 7th. Since then, an estimated 38,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. The international community says a ceasefire is imperative, and aid agencies warn that the humanitarian situation in the Palestinian enclave continues to deteriorate. William Denslow in Baghdad reporting for DD India.
And NATO member states issue a joint declaration at summit in Washington, D.C. outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine amid Russia's invasion. The communique also pledges to back Ukraine on its irreversible path to full Euro-Atlantic integration, including NATO membership. The leaders did not provide a specific timeline for Ukraine to join the defensive alliance. Instead, they said they would be in a position to extend an invitation to Ukraine to join when the allies agree and conditions are in favor. The description of Ukraine's path as irreversible comes after months of diplomatic negotiations in the lead-up to the Washington summit and was a point of contention among the allies. Prior to the release of the declaration, some diplomats had argued that it was not enough to just describe the path as irreversible, but that there must be strong support undergirding that description. Now, US President Joe Biden is due to hold a press conference later at the close of the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. It will be the first time reporters have had the chance to ask him questions face-to-face since his disastrous debate performance. DD India's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
32 of the world's leaders may be meeting to discuss the future of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and how to defeat Russia in Ukraine, but much of the focus on Thursday is likely to be on NATO's biggest contributor, the US, and its president, Joe Biden. He'll be holding a press conference amid growing questions about his viability as a presidential candidate. It follows a debate with Donald Trump in which he frequently stumbled and lost his train of thought. His performance at this press conference will be scrutinised not just by voters, but the world leaders gathered at the NATO summit. He made an impassioned, though scripted speech on Wednesday, staging his full-throated support for the alliance and Ukraine's fight against Russia, urging all NATO members to expand their domestic production of weapons. The US and other NATO allies also announced they were sending more weapons to Ukraine. F-16 fighter jets are on their way and could be flying in Ukraine as soon as this summer, helping to thwart Russian air attacks from drones and missiles targeting Ukrainian cities. Additionally, they announced they'll send Ukraine dozens of air defence systems in the coming months, including at least 4 of the powerful Patriot systems that Kyiv has been desperately seeking. Also in the draft communique, an agreement that Ukraine should have a, quote, irreversible path to NATO membership, with that phrase to be enshrined in the document set to be released on Thursday. This is also part of the alliance's attempts to so-called Trump-proof NATO by making changes now that will make it harder for a potential Trump administration to scale back US support. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Now, Moscow says it does not expect any surprises from the NATO summit in Washington and knows that the decisions taken there will be aimed at escalating situation in Ukraine. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko added that the decisions made by NATO would not lead to anything good. Officials in Russia also say the F-16 fighter jet deliveries to Ukraine would not change anything on the ground. DD India's Dasha Charnishova reports from Moscow.
Russia says plans to deliver F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine show that Washington is leading a wargame fight in Russia. That's according to Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova. The head of Russia's State Duma Defense Committee, Andrei Kartapolov, said F-16 transfer to Ukraine will not affect the course of the so-called special military operation in Ukraine and will not change anything on the ground. He said that Russia has been prepared for this development. Moscow says all things discussed and agreed upon by NATO in Washington are seen as aggressive and hostile towards Russia. Russian envoy to the United States, Anatoly Antonov, said the first day of the summit shows the alliance's aggressive nature, with the US and its allies continuing to preach militarism and military expansion, while not a single word, he said, has been said there about peace. The Kremlin also said on Wednesday that if Britain does allow Ukraine to strike Russia with the UK-supplied Storm Shadows, that would amount to yet another escalation, and Russia will respond to this irresponsible step. In the meantime, the Kremlin said that all the developments on the Kharkiv direction are in order to create the buffer zone and protect Russia's border regions from the Ukrainian attacks. Russian MOD said it attacked 6 brigades of the Ukrainian army on the Kharkiv direction over the past 24 hours. Dasha Cherneshova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
And Britain's newly appointed Prime Minister Keir Starmer told Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday there will be no change in the UK's position towards Ukraine with the new Labour government in power. At his first international meeting after winning a landslide election victory, Starmer enjoyed a warm welcome from NATO leaders. Days into his leadership, Starmer recommitted to the former Conservative government's pledge to deliver £3 billion a year of military support to Ukraine until 2030-31 and beyond if needed, underlining continuity in Britain's role as being one of Kiev's most active and vocal backers. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the 32 allies had collectively identified China as a decisive enabler of Russia's war, calling it an important message. Stoltenberg also reaffirmed NATO's commitment to Ukraine joining its ranks.
China provides dual-use equipment, microelectronics, a lot of other tools which are enabling Russia to build the missiles, to build the bombs, to build the aircraft, to build the weapons they are using to attack Ukraine. And the fact that this is now clearly stated, agreed by all NATO allies is an important message to China. And then, of course, we also then state that it cannot continue like this.
The French President Emmanuel Macron met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof on the sidelines of NATO's Washington summit on Wednesday. Macron has arrived in Washington just days after losing much of his political power in a snap election. Now, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan met on the sidelines of a NATO summit in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday in a continuing effort to mend bilateral ties. Greek government officials said the two leaders agreed on the mutual benefit of maintaining calm bilateral relations and agreed to intensify cooperation with the aim of doubling the volume of bilateral trade during Wednesday's meeting. They agreed to meet again in September on the sidelines of a UN General Assembly in New York, Greek officials say. Now, Poland's President Andrzej Duda on Wednesday said Ukraine's path to NATO is open and we will continue to support Ukraine, but there is a discussion on when the next steps on that path should be taken.
I hope that this anniversary NATO summit here in Washington will send a clear signal. Firstly, that the path for Ukraine to NATO is irreversible, in the meaning that NATO is really ready to accept Ukraine into its ranks. And that is a decision that belongs to the Ukrainian society, which must want this. NATO supports Ukraine. NATO will continue to support Ukraine, but NATO does not want to wage a war with Russia. And in relation to that, the path to NATO is open for Ukraine, but there is a discussion on when the next steps on that path should be taken.
Now, Taiwan claimed to have detected 66 Chinese military aircraft detected operating around the island in past 24 hours. Earlier on Wednesday, Taiwan Defense Ministry said that it had detected 36 Chinese military aircraft flying to the south and southeast of the island, heading to the western Pacific to carry out drills with the Chinese aircraft carrier, the Shandong. This latest incident adds to a series of similar provocations by China in recent months. And in a stunning encounter in the Atlantic Ocean on Sunday, a rover got up close with a large pod of whales. Tom Waddington, a UK-based ski coach, while rowing solo more than 100 nautical miles off the Newfoundland coast. The images show the whales swimming around his boat, reportedly rocking it as they passed. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Millions of football fans from across the world gather in Germany for Euro 2024, bringing with them plenty of fun, fervour and festivities. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Sports updates now. We'll start with Euro 2024 semi-final between England and Netherlands. Last-minute strike from substitute Ollie Watkins sealed England a 2-1 victory over the Netherlands to set up the final clash with Spain in Euro finals in Berlin on Sunday. Xavi Simons had put the Dutch ahead after just in 7 minutes after entering the game, but England captain Harry Kane soon levelled the semi-finals from the spot after going down under a Denzel Dumfries challenge. With the match heading for extra time, Watkins' stoppage time winner in the 91st minute sent England deservedly through to their second successive championship final. The team will now take on Spain, who secured a 2-1 win over France in the first semi-final on Tuesday night. All right, DD India's Narayan Singh is joining us live to talk more on this, and we also have Mr. Shaji Prabhakaran, who is a board member, Asian Football Confederation. Welcome, Shaji. Welcome to DD India. I appreciate you giving us your precious time. Narayan, I'll come to you first. England and Gareth Southgate's lucky run in Euro 2024 just doesn't seem to end. I mean, because that goal in the 90th minute, in fact, by Watkins just did the trick, and that too at the right time. Narayan, I think you are on mute.
Put ahead, and throughout the tournament, Abhishek, we saw that there was stumbling at the various juncture of the tournament, but we saw the way they performed towards the end of the match. They started their campaign with a win, and after that, their next two games at the, we can say, the group stage, they were ended in a draw, and in the pre-quarterfinals against, we saw that again there was stumbling, and at the last moment against Slovakia, it was Real Madrid's star that he came to the rescue, Jude Bellingham, and scored that important goal in the 95th minute, that is in stoppage time. And again, we saw that in their quarterfinal match against Switzerland, it was Bukayo Saka who came to the rescue, and 10 minutes before the time, he scored the crucial goal for them, and the match went into extra time and ended in the shootout. And again, that is, and we can see yesterday's match, the way there another Ollie Watkins came to the rescue and helped them. All was, their whole ride in the tournament was about their last moment goals. Gareth Southgate were criticized, but we should say that we can't ignore Gary Southgate, because under his regime we saw they played in the semi-finals of the World Cup, and last time they were in the finals and lost the Euro against Italy. Again, they are in the finals. So the kind of squad they had assembled, we can say that it's one of the best. They have Harry Kane, they have Declan Rice in the midfield, and they have the class of, we can say, there in the back, in the defense. John Stones is there, Kyle Walker is there. So all in all, a good squad, and if they play to the potential, definitely we can say it's going to be a cracker of the match in the final. One thing that keeps upper hand for the England in that match is definitely they are more, we can say, experienced than that of the Spain, who has Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams in their ranks.
Yeah. Shaji, I mean, another game and yet another time we saw England concede first and then go on to win the match. England are the first ever side in the European Championship to trail in both the quarterfinals and also in the semi-finals, and then secure a spot in the finals.
No, absolutely. You know, they are a bit lucky, but at the same time, they had the best match of the Euro so far against Netherlands. And the first half, England played better than Dutch. The second half, Dutch came back strong and did put England under pressure. But then the substitution by Gareth Southgate really did the trick, because that movement and that pass from Palmer to Watkins has really helped to score that injury time goal. And it was a real wonderful goal, because it was the first touch and getting the right spot at the corner, and no chance to the goalkeeper, and scoring that goal 91st minute. It's like they have the fighting spirit that it indicates that when you score those late goals, that means you still believe in yourself, your confidence is high, and no doubt, England, they are a talented side, but then their tactics, their whole game plan was kind of, proving to be on the negative side. And Gareth Southgate was under pressure. And getting to your second Euro final consecutively is a great achievement. And now they face Spain. They are mighty talented, and they are playing the best football of the Euro 2024. And their youngsters, their whole team is moving with a great pace, the intensity, the tempo. That if England can match, then it will be a great contest. Otherwise, I see Spain winning the Euro for the 4th time, and England will be a spectator. They have to raise their game. They
contrasting fortunes for both the teams in the tournament. Narayan, England will now gear up for the Spanish challenge in the high-value finals. But talking about the journey, Spain's journey has been completely different from England's in the tournament.
Definitely, we take a look the kind of football they played, and in the past we saw that they dominated the European football and the world football. It started in 2008 when they won the Euro, when they have the players like David Villa, Fernando Torres, Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, Carlos Puyol, Busquets, and many more. It was their golden generation, and after that they won the 2000 World Cup where they beat the Netherlands in the finals. And again, they defended their Euro title in 2012. It was a golden generation, but after that, a transitional shift came into the Spanish football, and the new players were there, and it got very difficult for the Spanish team to match the accuracy, match the tiki-taka format of their veterans they used to play for the Spain. But at one point of time, they were playing good football. They were playing tiki-taka, but it was looking like a purposeless tiki-taka. But now, with the advent of the players like Yamal, with the advent of the players like Nico Williams, Pedri, and Rodrigo, they are playing like a team which are playing a coordinated type of tiki-taka, and that's why we clearly visible that in their play they are dominating their opponents right from the first match here. And the players like Yamal, who comes in once in a generation, he's the youngest to play the Euro, youngest to assist in Euro, and youngest to score a goal in the European Championship. And how this young generation plays in the final remains to be seen. But England, they have the world-class player. They have Harry Kane, who is the top scorer for their...
Absolutely, what a great goal by Lamine Yamal. Narayan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your views. Shaji, very quickly, who do you think has an upper hand? England has never won the Euros, finishing runner-up in 2020. Spain, they have won thrice.
For me, Spain is clear favorite going to this final, the way they played, because Spain came from the group of death, and they are the one team, they're consistently winning the games. And if England, definitely, they have the talent, but then they have to raise the bar. And if they can raise the bar and match the tempo which the Spain team plays, then definitely is going to be a challenging for Spain. But then right now, I see Spain lifting the 4th European Championship.
Okay, you are saying Spain, and I'm with England. But yes, intriguing matches on the cards in Berlin on Sunday. Thank you, Shaji. Thank you. Appreciate you giving us your precious time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.